Why is someone like Kanye West, or any great artist really, considered a genius when, if you gave them, for example, an IQ test, they'd probably get a pretty mid score? There's two options that you can go down in answering that question. You can either say, well, he's not actually a genius, he just gets lucky, people like his music, that's not genius. Or you can go down the other route of mystifying cognition and saying he just sees structures in things that other people don't. Like, he just hears things in music and he can just create things like no one else, and it's kind of mystical and we don't really understand why, but he just does it. Both of those are wrong, and I'm going to explain exactly why. But first, let's start off with someone saying he's not a genius. So someone saying that, well, the definition of a genius is that you have like an IQ of 140 or more, something along these lines. You know what, I'll concede here, I'll say fine. Perhaps that's the definition, perhaps that's what makes someone a genius, but let's step back into reality. Let's step out of the little black pill, depressed, lonely cave that you're in, and let's step back to reality, and let's assess why words mean things and what things define things. That sounds too abstract, but basically, Kanye West is a genius because enough people consider him a genius. Things aren't objective in the sense that they're from the sky. If enough people say something to be true, then it literally is true. And because all of these terms and definitions are subjective to begin with. So millions of people, for example, enjoying someone's music continuously is a signal, is a metric towards something deeper that is proven cognitive ability in a certain field. Kanye West is literally a genius if you look at it that way. Now, the other position you could take is that of kind of mystifying this idea of like genius and cognition. I think this is honestly one of the biggest fucking psyops of modern society, from like movies and things where you see like Mozart and he fucking sees like the musical notes dancing and stuff in the sky. We don't need to mystify things. We don't need to say that this person was born with this ability from the sky, that they are able to see or hear something that no one else really does. You can say that, fine, but at least give me concrete evidence as to support it. Are you a neurobiologist? Are you a psychologist? No. So what's actually happening is that you're just coping, and this is actually just a bitch mindset. Because you don't actually understand what you're talking about. When someone says this artist is just born with really good rhythm, like they just hear these things that may genuinely be true. But the person saying that literally does not understand what that even means. People do this a lot. They say things that they don't actually understand, and they come to false conclusions, and they do less than they perhaps could have done. For example, they don't consider that something like rhythm or the kind of intuitive understanding of music or other systems that someone like Kanye West has is trainable, is something that we can model explicitly and look at and analyze and train. In reality, we need to understand two things. There are two main modes of cognition, if you will. There is implicit and explicit cognition. This is what I call them, right? So the explicit cognition is the things that, let's say, a mathematician does. Like, you can literally, on a piece of paper, write down your model of something. So I can say there's a ball rolling down a hill, and I can literally like draw it out and label the forces, explain what's happening in which scenario, which assumptions I've made, etc., etc. Or something like logical reasoning. If you're debating with someone and there's quite clear, concise, like ideas that clash with each other, like your assumption is this, someone else's assumption is this, they conflict, so we come to a different conclusion, but you've made a mistake here, etc., etc. So this is explicit cognition. And the thing you need to understand, that this is like the tip of the iceberg of what the brain can do. The brain is an extremely complex, multivariable system that does thousands upon thousands of dynamic processes all the time, constantly. And then we also have something called implicit cognition. This is something like your emotions, intuitions, feelings about something, the gut feeling, right? There's nothing mystical about it because it's actually far deeper and more complex than something like logic or rationality. People tend to go to the other extreme of mystifying it as if we have no control or understanding of it. We deal with complex systems all the time. It's the same way that an economist, for example, doesn't understand how each individual different part of an economy responds to a certain thing, but they can still make general assumptions or interactions with the whole economic system. Like they don't know whether you went to buy a pair of trainers yesterday, but they do know that broadly, like, interest rates are going to go up at this time or go down at this time. And we can actually do the same thing for any complex system, the brain included. So the brain has a bunch of implicit systems that are always happening all the time, like your different emotions, your different intuitions about things. And the reason these are important is because they are essentially the backdrop towards everything that you do. So rationality doesn't start with like pure logic. Whenever, for example, if you were to debate someone, you're not actually starting from zero and then building up like with pure logic and reason. What actually happens is that you have a bunch of priors, you have a bunch of intuitions, and you're essentially building on top of those. You kind of already understand this anyway, you just have never explicitly stated it like I just have there. But the point is that the brain kind of acts like a supercomputer in this sense, and we are able to interact with it, model it, and train it to do whatever we want it to do. You have far more leverage and agency than you actually realize when it comes to cognition. And actually, by understanding this, you have an advantage even over someone like a Kanye West. For example, a great musician, a great footballer, a great economist, etc., etc. All of these people, what they're actually doing is building intuition, but they don't realize it for the most part. So a Kanye West is not thinking about these are the things that my brain are doing is doing when I listen to this music, and like I'm training it to have feedback and responses to certain systems. But they still do that accidentally. So they'll listen to thousands of songs, hundreds of hours of music, and their brain as a complex system is giving signals to different parts of music. For example, this note evokes this emotion, etc., etc. And they build this internal invisible framework for taste. You call it taste. In music, for example, it's called taste. I like this sound, or I don't like this sound, or these melodies work together, etc. And when you understand that these are actually the systems that are being carried out in the background, you can start using that assumption for your training. You can use that to your advantage to learn something quicker, to understand something quicker, or to achieve something quicker and more efficiently. Because now you understand there's nothing mystical, you understand also that these systems can be trained. Then you can start to develop your own models and training to do a certain thing. And hopefully I don't need to tell you why this is such an important high leverage thing, because every single action that you take has to be filtered through your brain, your internal models and frameworks of whatever you're doing. It literally benefits you in any single activity that you're doing to be able to structure it explicitly and think about it implicitly and be able to train and develop frameworks for doing certain things. Literally just thinking better, of course, makes you be able to do anything better. That's not controversial. If you want to learn more about how to do that specifically, first link in the description is a full course and community I have dedicated to specifically that. I'll be uploading new modules to there every week. It currently already has some foundational modules on everything from brain maxing in a nutritional and biological sense, things like mathematical modeling in daily systems, designing experiments to test and train brain frameworks, etc. There'll be new modules uploaded every week onto there. Now is the time to take action. I hope to see you in there soon. Make sure to like the video if you like the video, subscribe. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of this month. Thank you all for watching and have a nice day.